Well, we are in a vineyard, and we are in an AVA.
Yay. How about that?
How does that work? This is Cody. I'm Chris. We're in Cole Ranch, vineyard, and AVA.
Yeah.
Cody, this is your spot, man. Tell us how you found this place, how you came about to it,
Yeah.
how this all came to be. It is.
We are in the wilds of Mendocino County, and we're on Highway 253, halfway between Ukiah and Boonville, and it's in the middle of nowhere, as you can see. I had a wine from this vineyard way back in 2011 as an intern, and I actually really liked it. I loved Riesling in college, and it's one of the reasons that I work in wine is I liked Riesling so much. And saw a clipping in the newspaper in 2016 that the fruit might be available. And I somehow talked Emily, my wife, into joining me on our only weekend off during harvest in 2016 and driving up here, which is 2 hours north of Sonoma. We went for a hike in the Redwoods in Anderson Valley and grabbed lunch in Boonville to make it a vacation. And then drove over the pass behind us. Yeah, exactly. It was still an early start.
Yeah, harvest.
And I was looking for the vineyard because I'd never seen it. We found it and didn't want to come to the gate because I was worried about getting shot. Weed growers, whatever it was up here, I don't know.
Mendocino, it's, you know, we've had some instances and some issues, you know, it's a little bit Wild West still out here.
Yeah. Didn't see any pick and bings, and I was hoping to find anything that told me who was taking the fruit so I could call and be like, hey, can I get some fruit? And there was nothing. So we tore up my lunch bag and I wrote a little note on it. I think it said like, hey, nice vines, love to get some fruit, call me, Cody. And tied
this is Cody's vineyard version of a pickup line.
Pickup line, yeah. Can I get me some Riesling? And tied it with my business card to the gate with the string from my lunch sack, and never thought we'd hear anything. And the next day we got a call, and Morgan and I came up later that week. It was already, I think, third, fourth week in September, something like that. It was late into harvest because we were finally getting a little time off, and tasted through and we're like, wow, this is great. Like, let's pick it next week.
And then you ended up kind of also, and that's an incredible story. I mean, because, you know, you guys have heard a lot about how Morgan has found vineyards, or we got led to vineyards, or we've cold called vineyards before, but this is your first ever vineyard discovery, right?
Yeah,
On your own, that you ended up making wine for.
We had introductions the rest of the way.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, we went hunting for this one.
You went hunting for this one, and I love it. And you scored a pretty incredible place. So, but then in 2016, obviously, it was kind of all of a sudden.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden, the fruit, third week of September. You kind of also like got some other people to kind of come
that's
up.
right.
You kind of played a little bit of like a matchmaker, like Morgan and I, and
exactly.
other people have done so much of.
Yeah, in order to make sure that all the fruit finds a home, Morgan and Chris have always been really great about finding friends to basically share the fruit with, people who think similarly and want to make a great wine.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of a cool revolving cast. So Evan Lewandowski's always made wine from up here. Folks at Marietta have taken it a couple of years. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Everybody makes a little different wine. It's a nice way to see the potential in the vineyard too. In the same way that Bedrock makes 2 wines from the site that are both different and both different than mine. It's a fun way to play around.
So why don't we talk a little bit about, because it's, what is it? You said the 5th oldest Riesling vineyard in the state. So go through the order. You have Stony Hill, number 1.
1948, which was not the first planting Riesling in the States, but the only one left.
Only one left. And then you go to Campani Portis, which, it's a Heinstein vineyard now, section of the original Campani Portis is majority Riesling. That goes to Nate and Duncan. So that's 54. But if the vineyard was picked all together, it wouldn't be Riesling. But that section is Riesling, so we'll put it in that sort of
asterisk.
Yeah, asterisk second. Yeah, it's the Barry Bonds of Riesling vineyards. And then Wurz,
64.
64.
That's right.
My Riesling find.
Yep.
And then
Greenwood Ridge, actually,
okay,
which is 72 up outside of Anderson Valley.
Okay, yeah, I do know that
one. LaFond used to be 72, but it was just ripped out down in Santa Barbara. We drove right by it. Yeah, rest in peace. And then this at 73.
It's pretty incredible because also Riesling, obviously, historically in California was a very popular grape. Before Chardonnay kind of took over the white wine dominating world, Riesling was much more popular in California, but kind of fell out of fashion when Chardonnay kind of came up. And so these vines are planted in 73. How are they trained? How are they farmed? What makes these vines special besides just the vine age?
So it's, sorry about that. What we think of now is kind of a quirky training system, but it used to be more traditional. It is Gobelets are head trained. Each vine has 8 to 10 spurs, 2 bud spurs. And then on top of that, they've run out fruiting canes, but without catch wires to the canopy, so you can see the vines sprawl a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like a Cali sprawl.
Yeah, exactly. And it's pretty similar to what we've done now at Campani Portis. A lot of whites are more fruitful on cane at the distal buds than they are on spur at the first 2 buds. And it's a nice way to bring the vine into balance by giving it a little bit more crop. As you can see, they're plenty vigorous. I mean, we're in the bottom of a valley.
But still not a ton of fruit because this is a pretty
It's old.
old, and their
Yep.
vines are pretty old and by Riesling standards, and it's a pretty extremely cold place.
Yeah, yeah.
When are you, in the last, 16, 17, 18, 3 years of making this, when are we typically picking this
Good
vineyard?
question. I think we've picked second and third week in October, between 22 and 23 usually. We pick
Yeah.
literally frozen grapes off the vine. Part of the magic up here,
Yeah.
in addition to the fact that it buds out so late because it stays really cold in the spring,
Yeah.
is that it's really cold at night. Since we're way up at like 14 or 1500 feet in the mountains, it'll drop like 50 degrees at night.
Yeah.
So
It's
in
crazy darn
October, when it's only 60, 70, I've been up here at 4 in the morning with Hardy where it's like 25 degrees and it's freezing cold in the pick.
Yeah.
And it's a long, slow pick, but it's part of what makes it so great for Riesling is it's a really long growing window.
And when you made the wines, because this is for Desire Lines, Cody's Wines, shout out. Him and his wife started their own little winery in our winery, but their own little project.
Dark little corner.
What up, truck? But what do you do for the Desire Lines Cole Ranch Riesling?
Yep, so we do, Morgan and I always share a press cycle, so it's actually the same juice for all three of the wines. The two that come from Bedrock, which is the Erster and Zweiter Rieslings, and then mine. Morgan ferments in stainless, a couple degrees colder than I do, actually, because I ferment in wood, neutral barrel, and don't have temp control on it.
Yeah.
And it's more of a GG style in that we leave it in barrel for longer, so we're on lees for 10 months typically and bottle in June. Depending on the year, between 3 and 6 grams residual sugar, but with the pH being 2.9 to 3, it doesn't taste terribly sweet. Honestly, we've tried going dry, and it's a more austere wine. A little sugar kind of brings it into focus.
Yeah, just a little roundness.
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the GGs in Germany have
A little sweet.
a little sugar in them as well.
Yep.
And what's sort of, for me, I always think of, I obviously, because we make Cole as well, and we make it in a dry GG style, except in stainless versus wood with Cody. And then we also make almost a, depending on the year, Cabinet to Spätlese level sweet Riesling, which we feel we can do with this site because the pH is so low, the acids are so high. I don't think I'd ever try and do that with Wurs, right? As my phone is blowing up. But with that sort of high acid, leaner style, I think it's kind of a fun bookmark compared to Wurs, right? You're talking about two vineyards that are both old vine or close to being officially old vine, but older vines.
Yep.
Both Riesling, but completely different soils, completely different climate, and shockingly enough, completely different wines. Whereas Wurs is this more savory, gabalin, lower or
Herbal
higher
even.
pH, lower acid, citrusy, savoriness.
Textural. almost in a
Textural.
lot
It's
of
a
ways.
textural wine, yeah. And you're a textural taster, so it's a wine for you too. But then Cole is more of a classic Riesling profile. What you think more of a, even though we're on clay soils here, there is this line of acid and sort of brightness that goes through the wines.
Yep, a lot of flowers, a lot of fruits,
a lot of flowers.
all the good stuff.
And what do we think's going to happen? Hopefully the vineyard is for
sale again.
So anyone out there in Bedrock YouTube world, if you want the only single vineyard,
Yep,
single AVA,
smallest AVA in the country.
smallest AVA in the country, in beautiful Mendocino, gorgeous, awesome Riesling vines, it's a deal. I'm
Call
telling
us.
you guys. How many acres is it? The whole property?
50 planted,
50
189
planted?
in total.
189 total and planted. I'm telling you, email us. We'll hook you up with a real estate agent, and we'll sign a contract for the next 20 years. Right?
Yeah,
You're
done. Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna find a home for Cole Ranch. But yeah, it's an incredible vineyard. Makes some really cool wines. Check out Desire Lines. Anything else to say about Cole Ranch?
Drink Riesling.
Drink Riesling. I like it. That's good. Drink Riesling. It's really good. Try white wines that aren't Chardonnay and drink Riesling.
Yeah,
Particularly from these older vine vineyards, so we can keep them in the ground.
exactly.
All right.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.